All right, in the third video, I'll show you the tool that's near and dear to my heart because I use it all the time to gather information for classes. So again, go to Data and Statistics, and this time we're going to go to Quick Stats Lite. Above it, you'll notice there's a Access Quick Stats. That has more information and is a little harder to use in my opinion. And the information that's available here that isn't available in the one I'm going to show you, you probably wouldn't use anyway. And once I show you how to explore Quick Stats Lite, if you want to, you can on your own explore the main Quick Stats tool. But for my needs, and most people's needs, all you really need is the Quick Stats Lite. So this is a wonderful tool for collecting data. You'll notice the different categories. So for instance, let's have a task we want to complete. Suppose we want to look at dairy production over a variety of years. So I would go to animals and products. I would find dairy. And then I can scroll through till I get to milk. And even within the milk category, I have a lot of choices. I think the first one I'll look at, I like this one. We can look at annual milk production. And then let's do, 10 years worth of data. So click on 2018. Hit your shift button and scroll down to 2009. So I've selected 2009 through 2018. And I'll go to state. Find good old Pennsylvania. Get data. And I'm going to, basically what it's showing, telling us the number of dairy cows in the state. Obviously they're estimates. Production in pounds per head. So I'm going to download this data set. Notice again, it's download a CSV of the data set. Where is it? There it is. So if I was doing a school project and wanted to show how milk production per cow has changed over the last 10 years, let me first save the file because it's a CSV file. I'm an Excel person, so I'll save it as a Excel file. And I can very easily take the data once I have it. And I can make a nice little chart. The amount of data we can work with is, can also, well, before we do that, you could work with the data here. I just download it, so I'm just going to show you. I don't know exactly what this does, to be honest. If you wanted to make it printable, you could. That will just download it. So we got year, state. Well, I don't really have any use for that. Let's go back. Let's do another one. Let's go to Data and Statistics, Quick Stats Lite. Something caught my eye there, and I'm in a dairy kind of mood. If we wanted to go to that milk production annual again, I'll just do a couple years here so you get the idea. You could do a multi-state. You can do the whole country. I thought it said county here before, but it's not giving me that choice this time. That's kind of what I wanted to show you. I didn't know it went by county. I don't think it does. I must have looked at it incorrectly. So within the dairy subcategory, you can look at monthly dairy products production. We'll select 2018. Now you'll notice, it's a good one to choose, it doesn't give you access for every state. Now luckily for this one, I knew Pennsylvania was one of the choices. You can also go national, so it would be aggregated over the whole country, but let's pick Pennsylvania. And this happens a lot, you get these little errors. And what you're seeing now is a common occurrence with quick stats. It freezes. So I normally reload the website. It's kind of a pain. And start over. Dairy product. What are we looking at? Dairy products production monthly. So this is just giving us the dry, non-fat milk for humans in pounds. Not that interesting. I'll try to go back. This is where it probably will break down again. Let's try something different. We'll look at ice cream production, dairy products production, annual. Select a few states, a few years here. Again, state, it doesn't list every state, just the states that presumably produce lots of ice cream. Let's go national this time. And it shows you all the different categories of ice cream. And the annual production. Let's do another one. Quick Stats Lite. Let's look at some of the crop choices. So crops, field crops. So suppose you want to look at corn yields over time. Go to corn. Most of your major commodities, your crop commodities, have one of these files, acreage yield production price. That's always a very handy file to access. So if I wanted to look at how corn yield has changed, this one goes back really far, to 1866. I don't think we'll go back that far. We'll go back to, I don't know, say let's go back to 1980. And we want to look at corn yield in Pennsylvania. Get data. And this file will have lots of categories. Now, notice in this reference period it has something called year, where it's listing the area planted in acres. And then it starts lower down, it has year and marketing year. So if we wanted yield, we'd have a little bit of work to do. It's located down here. So we could download the data set. And we'd have to manipulate the data a little bit, but here we have all of the corn yields from 1980 through 2018, and this is what they call the marketing year price. So that's kind of like an average price for corn in Pennsylvania in the different years. Very handy information to have. You can manipulate it on your own and make all kinds of charts, write all kinds of reports, and so forth. Let's go back and do some more. One of the nice things, for instance, let's do something a little bit more obscure. You know, if you wanted to look at asparagus production. Now the data is probably going to be thin. Let's see what they have. So it's not even giving me a choice for different states. But again, it does have that acreage, yield, production, and price file. Let's take a look at a couple years. I guess it will break it down by state down here. Sorry. And you'll get your yield, CWT, 100 weight, 100-pound units per acre. Area harvested, area planted, price received, dollars per hundredweight. So it's set up a lot like our corn file we looked at. Now with things like vegetables, they're going to break it down where they can, whether you're looking at fresh, processed. Sometimes it takes a while to find what you want, but I don't know where else you're going to go to find. For instance, I wouldn't even know how is yield in asparagus even measured. Well, now at least I know it's in 100 weight per acre, and I have some idea of how much asparagus 1 acre can generate for commercial producers. Now the economics tab, it sounds like it has a lot of useful information. I'm usually underwhelmed by it, but let's see. Prices paid for chemicals might be interesting. See that the ones that stopped updating, I don't really waste my time with. Let's try this one. Let's try fertilizer totals. Now, again, it looks like they changed how they did that. No, so for instance, that one, they only have data for 2001. Let's try expenses. What's under expenses? So if you wanted to know, get the error again. Put hired farm labor costs. Hopefully it'll work. And I'm including this in the video because this happens a lot. It stops. Let's go back. See if we can find anything useful here under economics for us. Farms and land and assets. Farm operations. Farm numbers. This is just going to tell us, I think, what the census told us. So it's just kind of using a similar classification system. And it's all estimated because they only do the census itself every 5 years. But if you needed a quick estimate of the number of small farms in Pennsylvania, $1,000 to $9,999 in sales, well, evidently as of 2018, it would be around 25,000 farms. Let's go back. And it's locking up on us again. How nice. Let's look at, go back to field crops. Look at some of the other file choices. We'll go back to corn. Another file I use a lot for some of our main commodities if we're studying prices and we want monthly prices for most of your major commodities. There'll be a prices received monthly file. We'll go national this time. And we have a nice month. Now, again, these are estimates. There's no such thing as a monthly price. So how the USDA comes up with the so-called monthly price for the U.S., they must be averaging it over different states. And then, of course, over the course of the month. But it's still a nice, if you want a broad snapshot of what's going on with corn prices on a month-by-month basis, the information's there. Again, if you want to download the data to work with it, you can do that very easily. Let's look at one of the more obscure livestock choices. Let's see what's under specialty. Honey. Prices received, marketing year. So for a more obscure commodity like honey, there's not a bunch of different files to look at. There's only this one file. Look at the last 3 years of national honey prices. Prices received in cents per pound. Now they have different categories. Honey, retail honey, wholesale honey. And then they break it down by different grades. This one would kind of be an overall snapshot. So, I mean, we can do this all day. Let's go to poultry. Let's go to eggs. Eggs, they only have prices. I'm surprised they don't have egg production here. Eggs are a fairly important commodity, but you get the idea. You can get monthly prices. You can get annual prices. Chickens, there's a whole bunch of different choices. Again, monthly prices, monthly slaughter or monthly production. If you want to get really detailed, chilled and frozen as opposed to fresh. So that's a basic overview of using the Quick Stats Lite. I hope this was helpful to you.